In the case of Tesla, SpaceX, and SolarCity, and actually also the PayPal and the Zip2 before that, it really stemmed from when I was in college. I was trying to think what would most affect the future in a very likely to be a positive way. So the three areas where I was quite sure would be positive were sustainable energy, internet, and making life multiplanetary. And then there were a couple other areas where it's maybe a question mark, like AI and writing genetics.
And what was the lesson?
Rewriting genetics.
Rewriting genetics. Oh.
Yeah. So just have big impact.
It's good to know where phase 3 and 4 might come. Yeah.
Potentially negative consequences, hopefully positive. Something could go wrong.
So did you have like a rank order? Like was the top 3 and a couple of contenders, or were they all kind of jumbling around, waiting for the right moment?
Thought, if you look ahead and say what's really going to have an important effect on the future of humanity as a whole, those were the 5 areas that I could come up with standing in the shower, basically.
So there's this moment of epiphany that you held for a while because you didn't pursue those right away, right? This was sort of an early vision that you then got opportunities to execute on. So maybe if we pick an example like Tesla going towards the Model S or SpaceX going towards the Falcon 9, do you commit the team, yourself, your resources to that endeavor, now a little farther along, when you have the end point in mind, or just let's say the cost of goods analysis for the rocket, or EVs should be better than internal combustion engines, just in general, I'll commit. I'll believe that should be done.
I didn't really get into any of this with the expectation of success, or at least, I started out with thinking, okay, when I do something in the electric vehicle space, and that's why I originally came to Stanford, was to work on advanced energy storage technologies, in particular ultracapacitors. So that was continuing on research that I'd done as an intern in Silicon Valley in the summer prior. So that's why I originally came out in '95. And then during that summer, I wrote some internet software, and I thought, okay, I can either work on electric vehicle technology, or I could sort of work on internet stuff. Try to do something with the internet. And I thought the internet would be something that would dramatically affect the future of humanity. It would be like acquiring a nervous system. And whereas previously communication would have to occur almost by osmosis, from one person to another, or slowly through telephone or mail or something like that. But now, if you have a nervous system, any part of the sort of human collective can know about any other part instantly. Previously you'd have to be at the sort of Library of Congress, even to have the Library of Congress as sort of information. But with everything digitized and access anywhere, you could be in a jungle in South America, and if you had just an internet link somehow, you'd have access to all of humanity's information. So it would actually effectively create a superorganism and fundamentally change the nature of humanity itself. So I just want to be kind of part of that.
Is that the path to AI that you might see?
It's actually not exactly AI. It's some sort of human-machine collective intelligence. So different from AI. Although AI may not turn out to be exactly what, hopefully not. It's not exactly what's like described in Terminator or something.
Now, quick pause for those who haven't been to SpaceX. The data center has got to be the coolest thing you've ever seen. It's Skynet on the door, Cyberdyne Systems branding, and the most badass set of lights coming from all the linking servers. So you don't own it.
Exactly. Yep. Our FVA and CFD cluster is called Cyberdyne Systems.
We'll get back to influences later on, but I want to try to see if I understand what you were saying about this. You see the long arc of, and what's important to humanity, not little problems, but huge problems that could be solved. A lot of us go around and we see something frustrating like traffic on the 405, we just take it as, crap, government's screwed, what are we going to do, right? You have this incredible sort of scope of ambition, right? Planetary scope, interplanetary scope, right? A little more than just changing the world, let's change some other worlds too, right? And
play some role here, but I think electric vehicles have a fundamental architectural advantage. If one designs an electric vehicle from the ground up and takes advantage of what's possible. Like if you just were to convert a gasoline car, you would not achieve these advantages. But if it's properly done, you can actually package the battery pack in the floor pan and achieve a low center of mass and have a very compact motor and inverter and gearbox so that the actual usable space in the car is significantly greater than a gasoline car of the same overall external dimensions. And then if you do a few other things, which aren't necessarily specifically related to an electric car, like using an aluminum body and chassis is helpful because you can absorb more energy per unit mass, essentially, in a crash.
Like a crumple zone.
Yeah, exactly. But part of it's related to electric vehicle architecture, and part of it is related to other technical decisions that were made in the design of the Model S. That's what leads to sort of having a high safety is. I don't want to sort of go into too much detail because it might take up too much time, but.
Right.
Like I wrote a blog piece.
Did you know some of those things at the get-go, or did they unveil themselves as you went along? I'm just curious how the vision materializes. For example, along either the product dimensions, like it will have all these great features, like at the get-go, that they all gel. And then secondly, I'm also curious, when did you first know that all vehicles would be electric? Like, was that early?
That was probably 22 years ago, something like that.
Before you met Tesla?
Before there was Tesla. Way before there was Tesla. Oh yeah. Well, like I said,
wow.
When I originally came out, when I was studying physics at Penn, that's probably when I thought it was the case. Or maybe sooner than that. Probably when I was in my sophomore year in college.
And did you have certainty in your heart?
Yeah, absolutely. It's super obvious.
Yes, now it is. And there are some
I think it was super obvious then, but yeah.
This is what blows my mind, because even like 3 years ago, most people probably didn't agree with this point of view. And if I could be confident of any prediction I could make, it's that within 10 years, all people will be of this point of view. But we won't have made the transition yet, but we'll realize that it's a ridiculous debate to be having. You were a lone voice of sorts back then, probably amongst your cohort and friends and, social.
Actually, I used to talk to dates about electric cars.
How'd they go?
It wasn't helpful.
It got better.
So actually, I ran into a girl I dated briefly in Canada, Christy Nicholson. She's now a writer for Scientific American, and she mentioned, when we went on a date, I asked her, "Do you ever think about electric cars?" And she said, "No, I don't." It was a while back. It's pretty. Almost everything's electric that we have in our daily lives.
Mm-hmm. So it was from the physics of it. The heat loss of an internal combustion engine it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So I want to share a little story that leads to a question along a different angle. I don't think you've heard this before, but I find it fascinating. I was at a lunch at a Google event, and out of the blue, with no expectation this would be a topic, Larry Page turned to me, knowing a little bit about our connection, and said, how much money do I have? And he mentioned a number. I thought that was cute, that he was trying to recall that. He goes, if I were to get hit by a bus today, I should leave all of it to Elon Musk.
Really?